are going to get out of there as fast as possible. Alex, Jamie. Jamie!
We're told you have a maximum of 10 minutes to carry out a rocket attack like this one. Take any longer on the Donbass front line and you're likely dead. What you're about to see took place over 4 days in September around the Donbass city of Pokrovsk. You've probably never heard of Pokrovsk, but if the Russians take it, you will. The capture of the fortress city could help decide the future of Europe. The area is already the scene of intense fighting, and the target for glide bomb attacks, like the one we're about to witness. Public buildings lie in ruins, but not every Ukrainian who remains in the hot zone has lost their cool.
This is just insane.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. You're about to watch how Ukraine's resistance in the Donbass unfold. In particular, one mission carried out by a special unit in the defense of Pokrovsk. The target will be a concentration of Russian troops and vehicles preparing to advance on the city. The challenge is twofold: to hit them hard and escape to fight another day. The tactic required is known as shoot and scoot. You'll see why. Speed is the key to survival. Male frontline cameraman Jamie Wiseman and I witnessed the operation, from its preparation through final practice to nerve-shredding execution. This is what we saw. Another beautiful day in the Donbass. The sun is shining and the sky is blue, which means both the pollen count and the drone threat will be high. We also see the contrails of a Russian jet as it launches a huge glide bomb and turns for home. Today we'll accompany the attack unit as they undertake a reconnaissance of the Pokrovsk sector. Because of recent Russian advances, we cannot drive by the most direct roads. Much of the way we don't even travel by road at all. To counter the high drone threat, the military truck leading our convoy is equipped with an electronic warfare system that interferes with the radio signals of enemy drones. We're told our car must follow no more than 100 meters behind to benefit from its protective umbrella.
Well, we're driving at some speed across a field. We're having to do this because we're going to the small town of Kurokov, where the Russians are very close, and the only way to get there in any kind of safety, and I wouldn't call this particularly safe, is to take these, go cross-country down these military tracks. We're in a convoy with a Ukrainian military car which has got a lot of electronic warfare drone jamming equipment on it. Hopefully that will be some kind of protection situation, since we last went to Kurokov in January, when it was already being shelled, has worsened considerably. The Russians are literally just down the road from it and are pushing to take the town. We'll see what the situation is shortly.
Okay. We pull over under the cover of a small wood to prepare for the final run-in. But drones aren't the only danger today. As we rejoin a tarmac road from a forest track, we almost get taken out by a speeding Lada. Here, the highway code no longer applies. There are other surprises ahead. In a village close to the Kurokova front, we find ourselves stuck not behind a tank but a tractor. Agriculture is Ukraine's biggest export industry. The farmers have to keep working very close to the front lines. But what we see next is something else again. Two workmen, one wearing a yellow high-visibility jacket, are painting markings on a road. This within artillery and kamikaze drone range of the front line.
Is that Defiance or this is the road?
Budget spending. Jamie, pull up, please. Speed up a bit.
Now we're on a road that runs directly into Kurokova. Occupied Donetsk city lies beyond. The only traffic on this exposed highway is military. We reach the outskirts of Kurokova. When we were here last, in January, there was snow on the ground and Russian rocket artillery hitting the edge of town. The only civilian seen on the streets was a drunk trying to direct military traffic. Since then, the Russians have advanced to within mortar range. Fighting is heavy on the outskirts. This is the 33rd Brigade in desperate defense outside Kurakova. Kurakova's main shopping street has been destroyed since our last visit. And this was once Kurakova's only surviving cafe, where we sat and drank chai, served by brave old ladies. Now it's shuttered. Once again, we see only a single civilian, a woman with a shopping bag, hurrying. Like her, we can't linger.
So we're driving through the center of Kurakova. We visited this town, which is southwest of Donetsk city, in the depths of winter in January, when it was under rocket artillery fire. Then it was full of dread. There were very few civilians left, but most of the center was intact. We saw, one of the things we saw then that struck me was a huge mural on a fishing shop, which quoted the British author Neil Gaiman and said something along the lines of, after a day's fishing, what I take home is my peace of mind. It struck me as being extremely ironic. Now we've returned. The Russian war machine has marched further down the road and is now within mortar range of the center. There's a lot more damage, and frankly, Kurakov feels doomed. It's in a very bad place.
We leave Kurakova on the next leg of the reconnaissance patrol. This will take us north to the district centre, Pokrovsk. Once again we pass the heroic, possibly lunatic road painters.
This is just insane.
They're not alone in their defiance. Not far out of Kurakova, we stop at a roadside coffee shop.
Frontline coffee shop. This place is very close to the Frontline. It's still open, and it's still serving cappuccino.
A young woman is serving a cappuccino within range of Russian artillery. The endurance of ordinary Ukrainians is always impressive. Pokrovsk city is the transport hub that supplies Ukraine's military on the Donbass front line. Local miners also produce the coking coal for what is left of the country's vital steel industry. Which is why Pokrovsk is a strategic target and the most important sector in the whole 1,000-mile front line. The Russians have advanced to within 5 miles of the eastern suburbs. The city is now threatened with direct assault, or more likely, encirclement and siege. The last evacuation train has left. Only a few thousand residents remain. The civilian curfew runs for 19 hours, from 3 p.m. to 11 a.m. We're also warned that Russian kamikaze drones are now operating along one of Pokrovsk's central boulevards. In fact, this shop name seems to sum up the entire situation here.
Okay, let's do this quickly.
The ground war is audibly closer. Central Pokrovsk is already badly scarred. Worse will surely follow.
This, as you can see, used to be Corleone's Pizzeria. I always thought it was a rather macabre and strange name for a restaurant in the middle of a war zone, but it's where we used to meet until last year when Corleone's was hit by a missile. There's a hotel above it, which might have been the target, but it was one of the few meeting places left in Pokrovsk at the time. It used to have a Thompson submachine gun in you can hear the artillery, a Thompson submachine gun in a glass case, and it was celebrating all things Italian mafia. Now it's just a wreck. The town is very eerie.
This used to be in Pokrovsk's main hotel, until it was hit by Russian missiles. This should be the bustling main square. Instead, it's almost deserted. We approach 2 women who are closing one of the few remaining businesses still open here.
Збираєтесь справді чи
Звісно.
потяги вже не ходять в ці, так? А я так бачу, люди не сильно комендантську дотримуються.
Дотримуються. Просто закрили, зараз йдемо домой.
Ну, поліція більш-менш лояльна, так? Ну, з
Ну, из-за
розумінням
того, что мы же до 3
ставиться.
часов работаем, конечно, надо же посчитаться, закрыться, а потом идем домой, да.
Russia is tightening its grip on the city. It wants to isolate Pokrovsk from central Ukraine, so it's destroying the bridges that link them.
Okay, well, this is a road bridge on the edge of Pokrovsk, which carries the main Pokrovsk to Dnipro road. It's a very important logistical route for the Ukrainian armed forces. And 2 weeks ago, it was hit by maybe three Russian missiles, and has been effectively put out of action. You can see the traffic moving very slowly across the railway line there. But this was the main highway, and it is now damaged, not beyond repair, but it will take a long time to fix. And of course the Russians are at the moment trying to encircle this city, so it's very bad news for the Ukrainian defenders.
A week later, a second important bridge, linking Pokrovsk to Kramatorsk and Kharkiv, was hit and completely collapsed. While we're at the second bridge, Russian artillery can be heard hitting a nearby industrial district.
And this bridge you can see behind me, which is the main road to Kostyunivka, was hit about a week ago. There was one strike that went through the top road there, where the whole central span was collapsed almost on the road which goes up to Dobrobilia. So the Russians have, I guess they have succeeded in cutting the logistics road route into Pokrovsk from 2 different directions.
And as we leave, the sound of a huge explosion comes from northeast of us. Followed by a growing column of smoke. The attacks on the district are intensifying. But Ukraine is also about to strike back. An oak wood on the edge of a sunflower field, somewhere in Donbass. In more peaceful times, this would be a delightful early autumn day. But the war is all around us. A trio of Ukrainian helicopters fly past the position at very low level to avoid Russian air defences. Meanwhile, the beeps you hear are from the unit's drone detector. It's warning that a Russian Lancet kamikaze drone is hunting targets somewhere nearby. There are still 2 days to go before the planned rocket attack. The weapons platform for that attack will be this Mitsubishi pickup truck. It's been adapted in the unit's workshop to carry a scaled-down Grad launcher. Grad means hailstones in Ukrainian and Russian. It's a multiple 122mm rocket launcher system, developed by the Soviet Union in the early 1960s, and normally mounted on a heavy truck. As the name suggests, the rockets are unguided. They're not usually associated with precision. Instead, they're launched in large clusters to saturate an area with high explosive, like a hailstorm from hell. Each Grad truck carries 40 tubes. A Grad battalion can fire 720 rockets in a single volley. In contrast, the Ukrainian unit's special Mitsubishi pickup can fire a maximum of 4 rockets without reloading. There are other challenges. A standard Grad is a relatively short-range missile, which, in this war, means it will be launched within reach of immediate retaliation from both longer-range attack drones and heavy artillery. You might wonder how this setup could be effective, but they are. Intercepts of radio traffic after recent strikes by the unit suggest the Russians believed HIMARS, Storm Shadow, or other state-of-the-art guided missiles were involved. The unit achieves that kind of accuracy by using bespoke rockets and modern targeting and communications technology, as well as the speed that their training and the nimble Mitsubishi allows them. Which is why they're practicing so hard in the shelter of this wood.
Every second counts. They're practicing with a stopwatch, and they're trying to shave seconds, not minutes, off the time it takes for them to reach a position, fire the shots accurately, and then leave again. because where they're working, there's a massive Russian drone threat, and they're also well within range of heavy artillery and counter-battery fire. So, as I said, every second counts. You can see the crew recalibrating the tubes, the firing tubes. After every 12 shots, Grad rocket shots, they need to be realigned to, if they're to achieve maximum accuracy on their next fire mission.
Lieutenant Oleg gives the signal to start.
Да.
The final practice launch before the operation has begun.
Все вперед! Вперед полметра! Вперед полметра! Оп! Готов!
The stabilizers are being deployed. They help keep the platform steady during launches. Now the launcher is raised to something close to its firing attitude.
Уровень, смотри. Мы по кругу.
Стоп. Есть.
Есть?
Петрович, гору. Гору чуть-чуть еще. Каплю. О, блин, много. Назад. Много назад.
Aiming adjustments begin.
По-тихому, давай, повели. Давай, еще. Не идет. Давай. Стоп, по-тихому. Вперед. Гору трошки. Еще. Гору трошки. Еще. Оп, стоп. Каплю.
This is only a practice, but the men take it deadly seriously. They must do. Tiny alterations now, which will make the difference between a hit and a miss.
Серый есть!
Е!
49-25! Давай влево. Еще. Стоп! Фиксируй. Плюс!
Подайся!
This is the soldier who will fire the rockets. You can see the cable which connects his trigger box to the launcher.
Есть!
Приціл 470.
Давай. Вот так, еще веселее. Давай. Веселее. Еще не идет. Оп, стоп. На водяну!
The crew run to cover. The first firing sequence is about to begin. An imaginary sighting rocket has been fired.
Живлення, дозарядка!
A soldier runs to the cab and pretends to switch off the electrical power for the launch ignition. The crew reloads the tube that was just fired.
Есть!
Now they make adjustments, according to instructions from the imaginary drone operator, who is watching the impact of their imaginary sighting rocket.
Плюс!
39,83. Приціл той самий.
39-83! Веселее! Стоп! Теперь влево! По-тихому! Есть! Наведено!
Живлення!
The electrical power for the launcher is switched on again.
Даю живлення! Живлення є!
Залп 4 ракети! Проміжок 2 секунди! Постріл! Ба!
Постріл!
Ба!
Постріл!
Ба!
Постріл!
Ба! Складаємо! Живлення!
Живлення вимкнуть!
Ручку! Есть! Держать машину! Восемь минут!
A According to the stopwatch, the practice launch took 8 minutes and 1 second. Oleg is not happy. With only one ranging shot fired before the volley, that's simply too slow. Fatally slow.
You're trying to, you would ideally be quicker.
Тобто в ідеалі це було б 6 хвилин. Yes, ideally it would be 6. 6 or 7, something like that.
Okay. So just, I mean, the underlying message that here is that every second counts.
Yes.
This is what happened when the Russians caught them at the launch site during an earlier operation. A Russian 152mm howitzer shell from counter-battery fire landed 33 meters from the unit's position. Even from that distance, a large piece of shrapnel went straight through the unarmored door of one of the unit's pickups. There was a second narrow shave, this time due to technical failure.
So there was a case in Kharkiv, in Kharkiv Oblast, when they were working 4 kilometers away from the front line, literally. They shoot 2 adjustment shots, and then the drone operator said them that I have to go to recharge the battery. I mean, the drone operator was not from the
unit.
So they had to wait for 26 minutes.
Wow.
So they spread around the forest, like they hidden. But luckily, everything was fine. They were not noticed or spotted.
Okay, that sounds terrifying.
Ну, ви допрацювали тоді?
Да, працювали.
But they finished the combat mission.
It's like in Britain, it's like the drone operator's like, oh, I've got to go for a cup of tea now, so I'll just...
When the operation is carried out for real, under the threat of Russian drones and artillery, there'll be no primus stove, no stopwatch, and no time for an on-site post-mortem, as you will see in part 2 of this exclusive film.
I'm coming.
Go.